Welcome everyone. I am Siddharth Jalan and this is The Hourglass Show. Well, live international cricket is back on television. लेकिन जो टेलीविजन पे नहीं दिखाया जा रहा है वो ये है कि कोई पोस्ट मैच एनालिसिस, प्री मैच एनालिसिस, मैच डिस्कशंस नहीं हो रहे हैं। और इसीलिए हमने ये शो शुरुआत की है, इस शो की शुरुआत की है wherein we're going to discuss about, we're going to tell you the match summary, we're going to discuss about what's happened in the match, give you some insights about what may happen in the future, the next innings, the current scenario with COVID and the new rule being coming into cricket. कैसा हुआ ये पोस्ट कोविड का पहला टेस्ट मैच? वी आर गोइंग टू एनालाइज द फर्स्ट टेस्ट बिटवीन इंग्लैंड एंड वेस्ट इंडीज. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, लेट मी इंट्रोड्यूस यू टू माय फ्रेंड देबार्घ्या चैटर्जी. हेलो देबार्घ्या.
Hey, hello.
So मैं ये बताना चाहूंगा ऑडियंस की we are not cricket experts over here. We are just cricket fans who follow this game with full passion. Debarghya and me, we've been following the game for a long time. और आज क्योंकि all the audience is not getting the pre-match, post-match analysis on TV, we are trying to give you a feel of the discussions right here on YouTube. So let us begin with the match summary. England had won the toss and decided to bat first. In the first innings, England managed to score 204 runs with Ben Stokes, the leading run scorer, with 43, and Jason Holder picking 6 wickets for the West Indies. West Indies, in reply, in the first innings scored 318 runs, with Craig Brathwaite scoring 65, Shane Lowridge scoring 61, and Ben Stokes taking 4 wickets for England. England, in their second innings, did better than the first innings, scored 313 runs, Zach Crawley taking 76, and Shannon Gabriel taking 5 wickets for West Indies. To reply, which West Indies chased down the target of 200 runs with 4 wickets in hand. And Shannon Gabriel was the man of the match. So this was the match summary which happened. Now let me take you to the segment, which is the Hourglass segment, which is the entire concept of this show. The show का concept, इस show का नाम The Hourglass Show क्यों है? Debarghya, could you please tell the audience?
Thank you, Sid. The Hourglass Show, we came up with this concept because we wanted to cover as many topics as possible in a very limited span of time. We didn't want to extend a topic for too long. जो usually हम post-match shows में देखते हैं कि when the experts talk, you can listen to the experts for hours, but you don't want to listen to us for too long. I mean, I don't want to listen to myself for too long, So we want to keep it short. We want to keep it to 2 minutes per topic, and we also have live timers going on as we speak. So yeah, when we jump to that segment, you will also see that we are trying to push forth the agenda where we try to cover every topic within 2 minutes.
So आपको समझ में तो आ गया है कि शो का नाम The Hourglass Show क्यों रखा गया है. So let's straight away jump to the Hourglass segment. The first question, Debarghya, for you, let us discuss about the team selection. Talk about the England team selection.
I think the England team, the first thing you see in that team is that Stuart Broad is missing. And James Anderson or Stuart Broad की जो वो partnership है with the new ball, that is something which I thought cricket is returning and you get to see something like that. But instead they went with the extra spinner, Dom Bess. And of course, Mark Wood was also a part of the team. And I understand Dom Bess क्यों खेल रहे हैं, because Moeen Ali, he's not a part of the team right now. He used to bring the spin factor into the England team. But yeah, I think team composition from a bowling standpoint, Stuart Broad missing out was a disappointment. Coming to the batting, I think they played a pretty unstable lineup. They were just trying and testing players. Obviously, Joe Root had to go for a family emergency. So they didn't have anyone solid in the top 4, right? You had Ben Stokes coming in at 5, I think, and followed by Butler, etc. But again, those guys, obviously, they did their part, but you need the top 4 to really give you that stability. So I think foundation नहीं था इस innings में. First innings में जो देखा गया, they could not create that foundation and उस पे कुछ build नहीं हो पाया. Though Ben Stokes went ahead and scored 43, they were just those runs were not enough. So yeah, that's my take on the England squad. So my question to you is, what do you have to say about the England's first innings? Your thoughts?
So the English first innings, Ben Stokes in his first Test match as a captain, he won the toss and decided to bat first. But we know that there is that inexperience in the English batting lineup. As you mentioned in the previous answer, that the top four you do not have much stability over there, and that's what happened. The England batting lineup collapsed, and if you can see, the top scorer in the first innings for England is Ben Stokes. After that, it's Josh Butler. So the two most experienced batsmen in English batting lineup, they were the two top scorers in the first innings for England. So what happened is everyone is coming out of that COVID break also. So the new players which have come into the side, they are yet to prove themselves. And even they've come after a long break. So there was no much of international cricket. For international cricket, there was not much cricket at all for any of those players to get back into shape. So it's like they were thrown right into the ring, and with not much international experience for them, I think they did not live up to their expectations. Josh Butler and Ben Stokes laid that foundation in the middle order for them. I think they bailed out England out of a tough situation which they were in, and they still have somehow पहुंच गए, though 204 runs which the England scored in the first innings, somehow they managed to reach over there. But take nothing away from Jason Holder and Shannon Gabriel. Jason Holder getting his best figures in Test cricket, taking 6 wickets, and Shannon Gabriel, he started the breakthrough right from the first over itself, getting Dominic Sibley out for 0. So he set the tone. So overall, it was good bowling performance from West Indies, but the inexperience from the English batting lineup was the downfall for them. Okay, so that was the English first innings, and the next topic of discussion will be the West Indies first innings. And I throw this question to you, Debargya.
Thank you. So the West Indies first innings is about underdogs coming together, sticking it out there, showing a great fight, and playing better than England in England. They really showed England how to bat in England, right? I agree, Stuart Broad was not there, but they had Jimmy Anderson, they had the likes of Ben Stokes as well. So you look at the players like Craig Brathwaite, right? You look at Shai Hope. These are guys who've not come in as big players. They've come there. They've taken their own sweet time. They've established themselves, and today now they're a part of the squad. They kind of form the core of the squad, and I think that was missing in the England squad. Also, there's one special mention that I want to make. That is Shane Dowrich. You look at him, you don't feel that he's a test match material. I mean, obviously, with all due respect, he does not come off as someone who can maybe play a very long test innings for that matter. But he actually made the difference. He scored a 50, and that 50 coming from a number 6 or 7 really gives the team that boost which they need. And lastly, I want to talk about Jason Holder. He is never a walking wicket. He really sticks out there. He knows how to play it. He plays the situation really well. He understands his role really well every time. And I think that's the beauty of Jason Holder, and that's probably why he's been leading the team from the front, not just with the ball, but also with the bat, more often than not. So on that note, Sid, my next question to you is England second innings. I know you've been taking England and I've been taking West Indies. So let's continue. England second innings.
Yeah, so talking about the English second innings, well, जिन players की हम बात कर रहे थे कि first innings में did not live up to their expectations and the inexperienced players coming to the side, वही players ने second innings में अच्छा score करके दिखाया. They put their names forward, they put their foot forward, and they wanted to say that yes, we belong over here. For example, Zach Crawley. Zach Crawley made 76 runs top score for England in the second innings. Dom Sibley got a 50 for England, who got out on a duck in the first innings. Rory Burns also got 42. He's been around for some time now. Rory Burns and Joe Delhi. They have been getting starts, but they need to convert now. And Ben Stokes also got 40 odd again in the second innings as well. So these combined top order partnerships, they started building partnerships in the second innings, which was missing in the first innings. So these partnerships helped England to firstly overcome the lead and then set a target for West Indies. So England managed to reach a score of 313 runs, and they set a target of 200 runs for West Indies. So I think somehow in the English conditions, 200 was a decent enough target. They gave their bowler something to defend. And if you remember the last time India toured England, they were in similar situations. India was given a target of around 170, 180, 200 runs, which India failed to chase down because it is very difficult to bat fourth in the English conditions. So looking at those conditions, a target of 200, I think England managed to give a defendable score to their bowlers, and 200 was a good score after trailing by 100 runs in the first innings. So their batsmen did a good job for them in the second innings. And also the pitch played a part in it. The pitch became easier to bat on than the first innings because the first innings we had a delayed start, overcast conditions, but the pitch became better to bat on. So they managed to score 300 runs. So that was about the third innings of this match, that is the English second innings. Now, Devargya, you going back to the West Indies, uh, let's talk about what happened in the fourth innings, wherein the West Indies chased down the target of 200 runs. Talk us through that.
So I think to start with, I would say the English bowlers probably took some positives away from the West Indian bowlers, and Jofra Archer was just ripping through the batting lineup, the West Indian batting lineup initially, but then came in Roston Chase. And just a quick one about Roston Chase. He's one guy who's always performed very, very well against India. So when I look at him at the crease batting for a long time against a different team, I feel very happy that, yeah, we have prepared this guy. That almost that kind of a thing. So anyway, coming back to the innings, I think, the first 3-4 wickets fell very quickly. And I remember having a conversation with you back then that I think this game is done for the Windies. But the way Roston Chase stuck it out there, again, a gritty knock, along with Jermaine Blackwood. He's really the dark horse who came in, and he kind of took the game away from them, from the Englishmen. So kudos to Jermaine Blackwood for not just for batting well, but also for his approach. He took calculated risks, and he took risks whenever he saw that the English bowlers were starting to dominate. And yeah, one last mention, John Campbell. I think he got injured by a Jofra Archer Yorker. He hurt his toe, got retired hurt, came back again, took a hit on the helmet, and he also ended up hitting the winning runs. So it just shows that West Indies were here to prove a point. They were here with a purpose, and I think they've achieved it. So yeah.
Yeah, so Devargya, I think you covered that fourth innings part pretty well, how the West Indies players came here with a purpose and they showed England how to bat in England. That was covered pretty well. So let us now talk about the next point, that is the turning points which affected the result of the match. All right, so I would like you to start this one.
So I think, in my opinion, the first turning point was way before the toss. The West Indies lineup itself. They did two things which England didn't. They went in with the extra batsman in Jermaine Blackwood, who turned out to be the match winner for them. And they went in with an extra seamer in the form of Alzarri Joseph. And I think Roston Chase really allowed them to go with that all-pace attack. Roston Chase coming with his right arm off spin. So I think they read the situations well, and they made their team. So that'll be my point. What are your thoughts on this?
So talking about the team selections, I think बहुत बड़ा factor था team selection इस game के outcome में. England went in with Jofra Archer and Mark Wood together, and I think ये दोनों जो है similar types of bowlers है, and they both offer you extra pace और ज़्यादा movement नहीं मिलेगा. And especially after saliva ban, ball का swing वैसे ही कम हो गया है. So you needed someone who could swing the ball more, and I think they missed a trick in not selecting Stuart Broad over here. Coming to the West Indies attack, yes, they bowled pretty well. Shannon Gabriel, the first over of the test after coming back to international cricket, he gets the wicket of Dom Sibley. That's straight away a morale booster for West Indies, and उससे morale down हो गया English batting lineup का. The players in the dugout itself, the player who's going to come in to bat next, he's coming back to international cricket after a break, and he पहला ही ओवर में विकेट गिर जाता है, मोरल डाउन हो जाता है. So I think that set the tone for West Indies, and then the batsmen gave a very good start for West Indies in the first innings, and then taking the lead, वहां से मोरल already West Indies का ऊपर था, and then England was just playing catch up over there. So West Indies, first over say they were right in the game and they were on top of the England team.
Right. So that's a great answer, I would say. I am convinced. I am sold. So moving on, the next question would be the new cricket rules or cricket in this COVID-19 era. And so, what do you have to say about cricket with the new rules?
Yes, so the first change in rule which comes to my mind is the ban of saliva to shine the ball. Saliva सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी था बॉल शाइन करने के लिए जिससे बॉल स्विंग होता है but because there is the absence of saliva you can only use sweat. बॉल ज्यादा शायद अच्छे से हो नहीं पा रहा था उससे हमें दिख रहा था कि पूरे मैच में बॉल ज्यादा साइडवेज मूवमेंट्स हमें देखने नहीं मिला तो प्लेयर्स बॉलर्स को एंगल करना पड़ रहा था बॉल अक्रॉस द प्लेयर्स अक्रॉस द बैट्समैन so lack of sideways movements was visible in this match. Also, something strange was that I could see Jimmy Anderson wearing a sweatband. Okay, so अगर saliva ban हो चुका है, the other thing which you can use to shine the ball is sweat, and Jimmy Anderson is wearing sweatbands, which is absorbing his sweat. I don't know why he did that. So that was pretty amusing to me. On the other hand, in the West Indies side, they had given the ball shining duties to Roston Chase. Well, particularly because Roston Chase is bald, he does not have hair, so he has easy access to sweat. बाल नहीं है तो ज्यादा स्वेट ज्यादा पसीना आता है ऊपर और बॉल शाइन करने में इजी होता है so he was given the ball shining duties. ये मेरे को काफी इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट लगा दोनों टीम्स के बीच में. What do you think other points, other change in rules?
तो मेरे दिमाग में अभी दो पॉइंट्स आते हैं. एक तो we saw subdued celebrations. People were not really going out with the high fives and everything. The only guy who would benefit here is Imran Tahir. वो अपना भागता रहता है यहाँ वहाँ, so I missed his celebrations. But yeah, subdued celebrations, and I also noticed there were no ball boys, and जो stadium के staff थे, they were just scattered, sitting around here and there. So I wonder what will happen if someone hits a long six, a 100-meter six. Ball कौन लेके आएगा? So yeah, these are the only two things that I could really spot.
Okay, so this brings us to our last question for the day, which will be the umpiring decisions. So Debarga, we saw that there were a lot of umpiring decisions which were overturned, and there was this DRS which was very helpful for the players in this match. So last question for the day will be on the umpiring decisions in this test match.
Yeah, interesting point. I'm happy you mentioned it. Usually you have in test cricket, you have 2 DRS reviews, right? And now in this pandemic era, you have 3 DRS reviews. And it was interesting to see so many umpiring decisions being overturned. You usually don't get to see such a number. It was quite huge, especially in the West Indies innings. There were a lot of them. I remember Carlos Brathwaite even tweeting about the same. He was expressing his frustration on Twitter that, how is this possible? How come so many decisions just are not going our way? So yeah, that's definitely something I noticed.
Yes, so because there was an increase in the DRS reviews that a team can take, I think that benefited them. Also, players use that to their benefit. Sometimes ऐसा लग रहा था कि एक और रिव्यू है हमारे पास जहाँ पॉसिबिलिटी नहीं भी है वहाँ हम लोग एक रिव्यू लेके देख लेते हैं. अपने पास इस बार 2-3 रिव्यूज है तो वो कह सकते हैं कि एक रिव्यू वेस्ट करने के लिए और है हमारे पास में. तो वो चांसेस जो है वो प्लेयर्स ले रहे थे. बट यस, this due to this COVID situation, you cannot have neutral umpires because traveling में थोड़ा restrictions है. So the ICC has decided to play the test match with local umpires. But I think Richard Illingworth and Richard Kettlebrough are international umpires who have a very good experience. So this the umpiring decisions coming from them, I think थोड़ा सा ऐसा लग रहा था कि why is this happening? But also even they have had a long break of international cricket, and umpiring is a job wherein you require a lot of concentration. You need that practice, you need that continuity to be there. I think ये break की वजह से थोड़ा बहुत affect umpiring पे भी हुआ है.
Agreed.
So this brings us to the end of the Hourglass segment. The West Indies have taken a 1-0 lead in this test series. It will be very interesting to see how the English side bounce back. Can they win the second test match and draw the series? Or can the West Indies take this momentum into the second match? Second match starts from the 16th of July. And we are going to try to come up with a pre-match analysis video as well as a post-match analysis for you all.
I think, yeah, you've pretty much covered everything, Sid. And it was fun to really record this with you. And I hope to record more in future. So viewers, let us know in the comments below if you've liked or disliked certain aspects of this video. And we'd be happy to improvise in our upcoming videos as well. So yeah, on that note, thank you so much for listening to us and hope to see you soon again.
So this was the first episode of the Hourglass Show. I hope you like the concept and do subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cricketena. For more videos, stay tuned and we'll come up with a new video soon. Thank you.
Thank you.